Very good morning to all of you. Am I audible? Please message. Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, very good. We'll wait for a few minutes. Let the students join. So let us start now. In the last lecture, we were on module 3. We completed contract of bailment and pledge, and then we made just a start of contract of agency. Correct? Now the PPT or the presentation or the slide before you is contract of agency that we have to revise today. In last 2 days, all the presentations with respect to the syllabus are shared with you in on Google Classroom. So you are requested to go to Google Classroom and download those presentations and start studies, because the exam is likely to be there within few weeks. I don't know the exact date when the exam is going to start, but within next few weeks, the exam is bound to be there. You will receive a notice on the groups, or you have to check the website of the college for necessary notices. Correct? Contract of agency now. Now, agent means who? In simple words, he is a person who is working for another. Correct? Agent is a person who is working for another. Now let us see the definition. A person employed to do an act for another or to represent another in dealings with third persons is called as an agent. I'll read it again. A person employed to do an act for another or represent another in dealings with third person is called as an agent. Correct, no? Representing another in dealing with third persons. So with the third person, when there is a dealing, this person, that is agent, will represent another person, and such person is employed to do an act for another. So suppose Mr. A appoints B as an agent. B will be employed by A for doing act for A, or to represent A in dealings with the third person. Is it clear now? The person for whom the act is done or who is so represented is called as agent. Sorry, is called as the principal. So person who appoints him, the agent will work for him, no? So that person who appoints or for whom the act is done or who is so represented is called as principal. Correct? Next, person competent to contract can be a principal by appointing someone to act on his behalf. However, the act must not be of personal nature. Next, it is advisable to appoint a person competent to contract to enter into contract of agency. No consideration is necessary for creation of agency. Now, these things we discussed hurriedly in the last lecture. Now we are discussing them in detail. So a person who is employed to do an act for another or to represent another in dealing with third person is called as agent. And a person who is appointing the agent will be called as the principal. Correct? The person who is competent to contract can be a principal. Correct? So principal must have the capacity to contract. And it is advisable to appoint a person competent to contract to enter into contract as an agent. So it is advisable to appoint a person competent to contract to enter into contract of agency. So this means that agent can be a minor. Minor can be appointed as agent. Okay. Then next is what? No consideration is necessary for creation of agency. So without consideration also there can be an agency. Correct? So let us go to the next slide. Modes of creation of an agency. Modes. Modes means what? Ways. Tarike. Modes of creation of an agency. 1. Creation of agency by express agreement. Creation of agency by express agreement. The authority given to an agent is express when it is given by words spoken or written. So agent, when he is appointed by express authority, means by words spoken or written, then it is the agency by express agreement. Correct? So express is there. The meaning of express means what? By words spoken or written. By words spoken or written. Written is WRITTEN, written. Okay, not RETURN. So writing, in writing, the words spoken or in writing, if the agent is appointed, then that is creation of agency by express agreement. Point number 2, creation of agency by implied agreement. Implied, which is not express. So in implied, the words will not be used, but you have to understand that there is an agency. Read. When the agency arises, when the agency arises from the conduct of the parties, conduct means actions, or inferred. Inferred is what? Understood, to be understood from the circumstances of the case. From the circumstances of this. So between the working of the two persons, or from circumstances of the case, or by the actions of the parties, if the agency arises, then it is called as implied agency. Then it is called as implied agency. Correct? The implied agency is of three kinds. Agency by holding out. So a person is holding out himself to be an agent of somebody else. Here agency arises when there is some prior positive or affirmative conduct of a person which leads the third person to believe that other person doing the act is doing with authority. Case law is Truman versus Loader. Now, I'll give you example for this point. Mr. A has employed a servant. Mr. A has employed a servant. Correct? And he directs his servant every month to to get the things from the shop of Mr. X. And Mr. A pays for those things afterwards. This example I have explained it to you while teaching it at the first time. Correct? What is the transaction? Mr. A has employed Mr. B as his servant, and every month, at the beginning of the month, A tells B to go to the shop of Mr. X and buy the grocery and other items. And A will pay for the things afterwards. So A is directing B to get those items on credit, is it not? So B usually goes at the starting of the month to X's shop, buy the articles, don't pay the money, take back the articles at A's place, then A used to pay afterwards. Correct? So that is the transaction which is happening every month. Correct? So A has hold out B as his agent in front of Mr. X. Correct? A has held out Mr. B as his agent in front of Mr. X. And what we have written, agency arises where there is some prior positive or affirmative conduct of a person which leads the third person to believe that other person doing the act is doing with authority. So A has held out his servant B as agent in front of Mr. X. So X knows that B is the agent of A. He takes the goods or things and A will pay afterwards. So this is a known fact to Mr. X. And this is going on for so many times. So positive act is there, positive or affirmative conduct of a person is there, by which Mr. B is held out to be an agent in front of Mr. X. Correct, no? Now, one day what happens in a month, in the beginning of the month, one day A gives money to B for purchase of the products and tells him to bring the products from X shop. Correct? Now, what is the prior acts? What was happening earlier? They never used to give money to B. The goods were to be bought on credit and A will pay afterwards. At one time, A pays money to B and tells him to buy the goods and pay the amount. What B does, B buys the goods or things as usual on credit, pockets the money given by A for payment and flies away. भाग जाता है. Now the thing is whether A is liable to pay X. The answer is yes. What X will think that as usual, as it happens every time, B has come, so I have to hand over the goods to him and A will pay afterwards. X is unaware of the fact that A has paid B for this time. Correct? So Mr. A has held B as his agent. So the transaction is happening, some positive or affirmative act is there prior to this incident. So there is an agency by holding out for this transaction also. So A is liable to pay X, the amount for the goods which B has bought. Is this clear to you? Let us go on to the next slide. Agency by estoppel. Estoppel, when a person by his conduct or statement induces the third party to believe that the other person is his agent, then he will be stopped from denying that the other person is not his agent. This is another way of creation of agency by implied agreement. When a person by his conduct or statement induces the third party, induces means forces the third party to believe that the other person is his agent, then that party cannot deny the stand which is taken. So the meaning of this is then he is stopped from denying that the other person is not his agent. Correct? So once a stand is taken, you cannot deny the stand. So once a person is shown as agent, then afterwards you cannot say that he is not my agent. Correct? Next point, that is agency by necessity. Necessity. Sometimes what happens, the agent has given, principal has given some authority to the agent, correct, for working on his behalf. But certain things are not given, certain authorities are not given, correct. Sometimes a person, due to circumstances, may be compelled to act as an agent for some other person. The doctrine of agency by necessity also extends to cases where the agent exceeds his authority. The principal gives authority to agent for work. Principal may not give all the things, all the authorities to the agent. Limited authorities may be given by the principal to the agent. But in emergency or in necessity, agent may have to work for the authority which is not given. In different words, just to understand, Mr. A has appointed Mr. B as agent, and Mr. A has told him that you have to do only 5 acts for me. Act number 1, act number 2, act number 3, act number 4, act number 5. So beyond these 5 acts, you have no authority to do anything. And in case of emergency, if B is required to do the 6th act, then what is to be done? That is the question. Correct? Where read it, where the agent exceeds his authority, provided it was not reasonably possible to get the principal's instructions. The agent had taken all necessary steps to protect the interest of the principal, and he acted bona fide. Bona fide means, again, in the interest of the principals and with good behavior in the mind, with a good thing or with a noble understanding in the mind. That means bona fide. That is for the benefit of the principal. Now, first of all, if the authority is not given to the agent, and if the need arises to work on it, or suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the 5 things which the agent is allowed to do or which the agent is authorized to do, and the agent is required to do the 6th thing in case of necessity, in case of emergency, what will be his first duty? His first duty is to contact the principal and obtain his instructions. To call the principal and tell him, sir, you have authorized me to do only 5 things. Now, in case of necessity, I am required to do the 6th thing. So can I do it? I have no authority to do it. You have not given me any authority to do it. So can I do it? That is the first thing which the agent has to do. What? To get the instructions from the principal by contacting him that, sir, you have not given me this authority, but in emergency now I have to do this to protect you. Can I do this? Correct? If the agent is trying to contact the principal and principal is not contactable and the instructions regarding this cannot be obtained from him, then the agent can work in emergency and do the act of which he is having no authority. I'll repeat, if the agent is trying to contact the principal for instructions and the principal is not contactable, then agent is allowed to do the 6th act in emergency. Correct? Read point 1 in C. It was not reasonably possible to get the principal's instructions. it was not reasonably possible to get principal's instructions. So there were no chances of getting instructions of principal. Correct. The agent has taken all necessary steps to protect the interest of the principal. So while doing the act number 6, principal, without principal's authority, the agent has taken all necessary steps to protect the interest of the principal, and he acted bona fide. Point number 3. So agency by necessity means if there is no authority given to by the principal to the agent for doing a particular act, and in necessity or in emergency the agent is required to do that act, then agent is allowed or agent is permitted to do that act to protect the interest of the principal. And as far as that act is concerned, even though there is no authority, it will be treated as agency, or the act done with authority, as it will be an agency by necessity. Is this clear to you? Point number 3, agency by ratification. Ratification, Ratification. Ratification. Ratification means to approve afterwards, to adopt afterwards. Approve afterwards. Adopt afterwards. Correct? So here what happens, in nutshell, I'll tell you that the principal has given authority to the agent for doing particular acts. The agent exceeds his authority and does some acts. Now it is for the principal to decide whether to approve those acts which were done without authority or to reject those acts. So principal can say, sorry, I cannot adopt these acts because they are done without authority. Or principal may say that yes, I am approving those acts which are done without authority. So approving the acts which were done without authority is called as ratification. Correct? Let us read what it is. Agency by ratification. All acts of the agent done in discharge of his duties and within the scope of authority are binding upon the principal. Very important sentence. All acts done by the agent in discharge of his duties and within the scope of authority. So within the scope of authority, the authority which is given to the agent and the acts done by the agent within the scope of that authority are binding on the principal. Correct? Read further. Acts done by the agent beyond the scope of his authority are not binding upon the principal. So acts done by the agent of which there is no authority given to him are not binding on the principal. So the principal is not responsible for the acts done by the agent without authority. Common sense, no? The thing which is not authorized by principal, that will not be binding on the principal. So act done by the agent without authority from the principal is not binding on the principal. Correct? Read further. However, the principal in such case may either adopt or reject the acts of the agent. So the acts done without authority can be adopted or rejected by the principal. So the option is given to the principal. The choice is given to the principal either to adopt the thing which is done without authority or to reject the thing which is done without authority. Correct? If the principal adopts the acts of the agent done without authority, he is said to have ratified that act and becomes bound by the same. So if the principal approves or adopts the act done by the agent without authority, then it will be called as principal has ratified the act. Principal has ratified the act. And once he ratifies the act, he has approved the act, he is liable or he is responsible for that particular act. Correct? So this is basically what do you mean by ratification? To approve or adopt the acts which are done without authority. Let us go to the next slide. Essentials of valid ratification. Now read these points which are there on this slide. We will discuss them one by one. Have you finished the reading of the 9 points? So let us read them one by one. First of all, what do you mean by ratification? That concept must be clear to you. Principal gives authority to agent to work on his behalf. So if the agent works without authority, then the principal is not responsible for that act. Correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 things are told by the principal to agent that you have to do these things for me. If the agent does 6th thing, then principal is not responsible for that 6th thing because the authority is not given by principal to agent to do that 6th thing. Correct? But if the agent chooses to approve that 6th thing, then he has ratified the act. Originally, it was not allowed, but now he has allowed it. Correct? So ratification will have a retrospective effect, not a prospective effect. So once the act is ratified, it is ratified from the beginning, from the starting point. Correct? Now let us see what are the essentials of valid ratification. The act must have been done on behalf of the principal. Correct, no? Point number 2. Principal must be in existence at the time of the act. These are self-explanatory. No need to explain it. Principal must be in existence at the time of the act. Principal must have contractual capacity, both at the time of contract and at the time of ratification. Principal must have contractual capacity, both at the time of contract and at the time of ratification. The act to be ratified must be lawful. Ratification must have been done with full knowledge of the material facts. Ratification must be of the whole transaction. So you cannot partly ratify and partly reject. You have to ratify the entire transaction. It must not injure the third person. Next, ratification can be of those acts which principal had the power to do. Next, ratification must be before expiry of the period. The ratification of the act must be within a reasonable time. And the last point is a ratification must be communicated to the third person. Third person means the person with whom the agent has contracted. Correct? Agent's authority may be expressed, implied, or ostensible. Now, from the exam point of view, one thing is very important, that there can be a multiple choice question, that ratification has dash effect. So your answer should be ratification has retrospective effect. So Purvalakshi Prabhav, you can call it as Purvalakshi Prabhav. So the effect of the ratification is to be given from the back date, when the act was done. From that time, the act becomes valid. Correct? So in short, ratification is approving or authorizing or adopting the act which was done by the agent without authority. You are following me? So the agent was not having any authority to do that particular act, but agent does that particular act. Now it is for the principal to decide, or it is for the principal to accept or reject that particular act. The act done without authority by the agent is not binding on the principal. If the principal rejects the act, the agent is responsible for the act and not the principal. But principal has the choice. When you say that choice is there are two things minimum, no? Minimum two choices. So two choices available to the principal are he can accept the act, he can reject the act. If he rejects the act, then he will not be responsible for the act, and the agent will be responsible for the act which was done by him without authority. And if he accepts the act, approves the act, adopts the act, then it will be treated as the authority was given from the beginning. So, from the beginning, from the time when the act was done, there was authority for that act. So, retrospective effect has been given, and therefore the ratification will have retrospective effect and not prospective effect. Correct? So authority is not there. Still agent works. Principal has choice whether to accept or reject that act. If act is rejected, principal is not responsible for the act. The agent is responsible for the act. And if the act is accepted, approved, or ratified, the principal is responsible for that act. Correct? So this is what do we mean by ratification. Now let us read kinds of agent. Now this is the easiest chapter or easiest topic in the contract of agency. Read general agent. General, to do every act in the particular business. Authority to do all acts in the ordinary course of trade, business, or profession. Correct? Then special or specific agent, particular agent, appointed to do a specific act for the principal. So if you want to buy a house, you contact estate agent for searching a house. You tell him the description of the house or the specifications for the house, and he will search the house for you. After searching the house, you buy that house, you pay him his commission, and the transaction is over. So the person is appointed for a specific or special act or a particular act. And after that act is done, the transaction is over. So this person will be called as a special or specific agent. Correct. Next, sub-agent. Employed by and is working or acting under the control of original agent in the business of agency. So this person is appointed by the agent, by the original agent. This person is not appointed by the principal. Mr. A appoints B as his agent. B appoints C as his agent. So there is no connection between C and A. There is a connection between B and C because B is appointing C as his agent. So for C, A is not the principal. For C, B is the principal. You are following me? So A appoints B and B appoints C as agent. So there is no connection. There is no contract between A and C, but the contract is between B and C. Read again. Sub-agent, employed by and is working or acting under the control of original agent in the business of agency. Now this sub-agency is not permissible unless allowed by custom or usage or unless allowed in certain circumstances. Because agent has no authority to delegate the authority given to him by the principal. Delegation of authority. The delegatee cannot delegate. Delegator is the giver and delegatee is the receiver. So the receiver cannot further delegate the authority which he has received from the giver. So agent is having the authority which he has received from the principal. So who is the owner of the authority? Who is the owner of the authority? The principal. So agent cannot transfer that authority of which he is not the owner. Usually, sub-agency is not permissible. The agent is not allowed to appoint a sub-agent. Now we will take a break here. We will meet at exactly 8:30. Okay, 8:30 we will meet. 8:30 sharp. Okay, we'll take a break and we'll meet at 8:30. Please come back on 8 by 8:30. Refresh yourself, have something, tea or some nashta, and come back within 10 minutes. Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
So, are you back from the break?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us wait for 1-2 minutes. Let the other join who are not back. So let us start now. So we were discussing kinds of agent before going on break. Kinds, types of agents. General agent, specific agent we discussed, sub agent also we discussed. Sub agent is a person who is appointed by the agent, correct? No, co-agents. Co-agents means what? When there are two or more persons appointed for or appointed as an agents, then in that case they are called as co-agents. Substituted agent, a person appointed by the agent with the express or implied authority of principal to act for and on behalf of principal. So this person is appointed by the agent, but he is not the agent of the agent. I'll repeat. This person, substituted agent, is appointed by the agent, but he is not sub-agent. He is appointed by the agent with the express or implied authority of the principal. So principal tells the agent to appoint an agent for the principal. You are following me? So A appoints B as an agent, B appoints C as his agent, so that C is sub-agent, correct? But in case of substituted agent, what happens? A appoints B as his agent and tells B that if you want, you can appoint the agent. So that agent, that is the person appointed by the agent, will be the agent of the principal and not the agent of the original agent. Correct? Read it carefully. The person appointed by the agent with the express or implied authority of principal to act for and on behalf of principal. So the substituted agent, even though appointed by the agent, is appointed with the authority of the principal. So the agents, the agent is responsible to the principal, as well as the substituted agent is also responsible to the principal. So you have to distinguish between sub agent and substituted agent. In case of sub agency, the sub agent's principal is the original agent. In case of substituted agency, substituted agent's principal is the original agent and not the, sorry, substituted agent's principal is the principal and not the original agent. Okay? So you must understand this difference. Mercantile agents. So these are the agents who are called as commercial agents also. Mercantile agents. Correct? First is a person who is broker. First, now read it. It's very simple. Broker factor. Read this slide. I'll explain it to you thereafter. Have you finished reading? The things which are not understood, I will explain. Some disturbance from somebody. Let us see if you have finished. Broker. He is employed to buy and or sell property or to bring about contractual relationship between the buyer and seller. He has no possession of the goods or property. So he is employed to buy or sell. So broker is a person in the market who will buy the goods or sell the goods and bring about contractual relationship between the buyer and seller. So he is working as a clear agent. He has no possession of the goods. So he will search buyer for the seller and seller for the buyer. Next, factor. He is interested with the possession of the goods for the purpose of selling them in his own name as apparent owner. So broker and factor, there is a difference. Factor is the person to whom the possession of the goods will be given. So if the goods are to be sold, the owner will give the goods to the factor and ask him to sell his in his own name. So the purchaser of the goods may not be knowing who is the owner. He is thinking the factor is the owner. Correct. So that is the difference between broker and factor. Auctioneer, lilav, the person who conducts the auction for selling the goods, appointed by the seller for selling the goods by public auction. The seller will appoint the auctioneer for selling the goods by public auction. So that agent will be conducting auction, that is lilav, and he will sell the goods in that auction. So that person will be called as auctioneer. Okay. Then commission agent. He secures buyers for the seller and seller for the buyer and charges commission. So if you want to sell the goods, you have to contact this person. He will search buyers for you. If you want to buy the goods, you have to contact this person. He will search sellers for you. And for doing this, he will charge the commission. Correct? Del Credre agent. New name. Del Credre. Correct? What he does, let us see. He, in consideration of extra remuneration, so he will charge extra remuneration, known as Del Credre commission. Known as Del Credre commission. Those extra remuneration will be called as Del Credre commission. Guarantees. So he gives a guarantee for that extra remuneration which he has charged. What guarantee he gives? That guarantees the performance of the contract as regards payment is concerned by the third party. So if the payment is to be received, he will guarantee that the payment will be received. Correct? So for that guarantee, he is charging some extra remuneration called as Del Credre commission. Next, indenting agent. He is also called as indenter. He for commission gets sale or purchase for his principal with merchant abroad. Merchant abroad. So this person is doing the work of agent, but in export import. So if he wants purchaser abroad, he will search for purchaser abroad. If a seller wants purchaser abroad, abroad means in the outside country. So if the seller wants purchaser abroad, he will search for the purchaser. If the buyer wants goods from the outside world, then he will search for the seller from the outside world. Correct? And last is Pakka Adatiya and Kacha Adatiya. Pakka Adatiya and Kacha Adatiya. These are the names in the local market. They are the agents and their transactions in Mumbai market are known as Pakki Adat or Kachi Adat, respectively. So they are the agents in the local market in Mumbai. Correct? Now, let us go on to the next slide. Duties and rights of an agent. Duties and rights of an agent. These are the easiest things, no? These are the easiest things to understand. Read further. Duty of an agent. Duty of an agent. First duty, to carry out work according to principal's instructions. Keep it in mind that the agent is working as per the instructions from the principal. No, agent has to work as per the instructions of the principal. So that is the duty. Next, to follow the custom in the absence of instructions. Custom usage. You have studied in your 11th standard economics. What do you mean by custom? The things which are used, things which are followed for years together in the business, that is called as custom. To follow the custom in the absence of instructions. Point number 3, to carry out work with reasonable care, skill and diligence. Carry out work with reasonable care, skill and diligence. So there shall not be any negligence, there shall not be any irresponsibility while doing the work or while carrying on the work. Correct? So it is the responsibility of the agent to do the work with skill, care and diligence. Diligence is opposite of negligence. Correct? Point 4, to render or give proper accounts to the principal. See, the business is run by the agent for principal. So the accounting is required to be shown or given to the principal about the business which is carried on by the agent. Next, to communicate with the principal in case of difficulty. In case of difficulty, in case of emergency, in case of any problem, to communicate with the principal, to contact him and ask him, sir, this is the problem, what shall I do? Correct? Next point. Not to deal on his own account with principal's consent, without principal, not to deal on his own account without principal's consent. Not to deal on his own account. So without principal's consent, he is not supposed to deal on his own account as if he is the principal. Correct? So seek instructions or get instructions from the principal, get the consent of the principal and deal on his own account. Next, duty to pay sum received for principal. Duty to pay sum received for principal. The business is done by the agent. So the money will be also received by the agent. Correct? So after deducting all advances made by the agent, expenses incurred by him while doing business and his remuneration, these three amounts are to be deducted from the money which is received for the principal. So suppose money is received 1000 rupees from the transaction entered into by the agent. So principal's money is to be given to him after deducting the amount of advances made by the agent. So 100 rupees advance was made by the agent. So out of that 1000, 100 rupees are to be deducted. So it is 900. Expenses incurred by him while doing the business. So while doing the business, who is doing the business? Agent, not the principal. So while doing the business, some lawful expenses are to be incurred by the agent. No? So suppose they are 150 rupees. Okay. So minus 150 rupees from 900. So it's 750. Correct? And his remuneration 150 rupees. Minus that 150 from 700. So it becomes 600. So the sum which is received after deducting these three things, sum which remains after deducting these three things is rupees 600. So you have to pay that amount of rupees 600 to the principal. Correct? Next point. Duty to protect and preserve the interest of the principal. So while working as an agent, it is the duty of the agent to maintain or protect or preserve the interest of the principal. Okay. Next duty, not to make secret profit. खाचा नहीं मारने का, ठीक है ना? Not to make secret profits. So everything is to be accounted for and returned to the principal. Next, to maintain proper accounts. Next, not to use information against the principal. So who is doing the business? Agent. So he is conversant with, or he is having the knowledge about the positions in the market and conditions in the market. So if there is any information in the market regarding the business, that information is not to be used against the principal. Not to set up adverse title. Adverse title means who is the owner of the business? The principal is the owner of the business. So he should not treat himself as the owner. Correct? Then not to delegate the authority. Not to delegate. Delegatee. Delegator is principal. Delegatee is the agent. So agent has no authority to delegate the authority received by him from the principal. So here the reference is directly to the sub-agency. So the agent is not allowed to appoint a sub-agent. What that is the meaning of this point number 13. Correct? So you please go through these 13 points again, then we will go further. Have you finished the reading? Let us go to the next slide. Read these points also. Read these points also up to point number 13. Now there should be no problem. The PPTs are with you. So you can go through the PPTs. So have you finished the reading? If you have, let us go to the rights of the agent. Rights of an agent. Right to enforce principal's duties. Right to enforce principal's duties. The duties of the principal, if they are not followed by the principal, then the agent can file a case against the principal. Enforce means what? To enforce the duties before the court of law. So if the principal is not following his duties, then it is the right of the agent to enforce the duties. Correct? Point number 2. Right to retain out of the money for all advances made by him, expenses incurred by him while doing business, and his remuneration from the money received for the principal. Same point is here. See this duty of the principal. Point number 7. Read this point. So from the money received for the principal, the agent has to deduct the advance made by him, expenses incurred by him, and remuneration, and remaining amount is to be returned to the principal. Same point is here as point number 2. Right to retain out money for all advances made by him, expenses incurred by him, and his remuneration from the money received for the principal. So earlier it was a duty of the principal, duty of the agent. Sorry, it was the right of the agent. No, it was the right of the duty of the duty of the agent. Now it is again the right of the agent also. For a simple reason, he has a right to receive the advances made by him. He has a right to receive the expenses incurred by him, and he has a right to receive the remuneration for him from the money received for the principal. Correct? Then next is right to receive remuneration. There is some disturbance. Who is talking? Shailaja Yadav, please mute. I'll mute you. Don't worry. Right to receive remuneration. Correct? Then next is right of lien on principal's property. So up till the point the remuneration is not received, till the point the expenses incurred by him are not recovered, until the point the advances received by him, paid by him are not received, the principal, the agent has the right of lien on the principal's property. Right of lien, what do you mean by that? Right to retain the property of another, right to retain the property of another till the dues are satisfied. Correct? Point number 5. Right of indemnification against consequences of lawful acts. So while doing the business of agency, just a minute. While doing the business of agency, lawfully, if the agent suffers any loss, then it is the right of agent to have the loss paid by the principal. So that is indemnification. Indemnify. The principal will indemnify the loss suffered by the agent while doing lawful acts. Okay. Next point. Right of compensation for injury caused due to principal's neglect. If there is any injury which is caused to the agent because of the neglect of the principal, then that injury is to be compensated by the principal. Correct? These are the rights of agent. Now duties of principal. Now the rights of agent will be duties of principal, no? See this. Principal's duty to indemnify the agent against consequences of all lawful acts done by the agent. 2 minutes before we discuss this point as right of agent, no? Same way, principal's duty to indemnify the agent against the consequences of the acts done in good faith. So any act done in good faith and the principal and the agent suffers any loss, the loss is to be made good by the principal. Next, principal is not liable for criminal acts of the agent. This is important. Criminal acts. So agent is involved in some criminal activities, then the principal is not responsible for that act. Next, duty to compensate the agent for the injury caused by principal's neglect. Now this point also we discussed few minutes ago. Correct? Duty to pay remuneration or commission. That is natural consequence, no, of agency. Next, principal is liable to the third party for contracts entered into through an agent and for obligations arising from the acts done by the agent. So duty of the principal, agent is working for principal, no? So agent is working as per the authority given by the principal. So agent's acts are binding on the principal. So the principal is liable to the third party for the contracts entered into through an agent and for the obligations arising from acts done by the agent. So these are the duties of the principal. Now rights of the principal. Right to enforce agent's duties. Rights to enforce agent's duties. Now, before we start this, let me share the link with you. Link of attendance. Just give me a few seconds. I will share the link with you. Google Forms. Just a minute, I'll share the link of attendance to you, where it will be easier, no, for you to mark your attendance. Yes, I have posted the link of attendance. Let us go to get back to the work now. Have you received the link? So let us go back to the work. Rights of principal. Rights of principal. First right is to right to enforce agent's duties. Like principal, right, like agent. This was the right of agent also. No, right to enforce principal's duty. It was. Now it is right to enforce agent duties. So if the agent is not following the duties or not fulfilling his duties, the principal has a right to file a case against him, or the principal has a right to enforce his duties. Okay. Point number 2, right to recover damages, where the principal suffers loss because of. So if the principal suffers loss, he can recover damages from the agent. He can recover damages from the agent, but some conditions are there. The loss must be suffered because of 1, 2, 3 mentioned below. Point number 1, disregard of principal's direction by the agent. Disregard of principal's directions by the agent. Disregard means what? Not following. So if the agent is working, while working, the agent has not followed the directions of the principal, then the loss is caused to the principal. That loss is to be compensated by the agent. So this is the right of the agent, right of the principal to recover damages if the loss is caused to the principal because of disregard of principal's directions by the agent. Or point number 2, not following custom of the trade by the agent in the absence of principal directions. Or lack of skill. So there is no skill, there is no care or diligence by the agent. And if suppose there is a loss caused to the principal because of all these things, then the principal has a right to recover damages for the loss caused from the agent. Okay. Point number 3, right to recover secret profits. Now, this was the duty of the agent. What was it? Not to make secret profits. So now it is the right of the principal to recover the secret profits. Point number 4, to repudiate the contract. Repudiate means to cancel. To repudiate the contract. If the agent deals on his own account in the business of agency without prior permission of the principal, it was a duty of the agent that he shall not deal with his own account without the permission of the principal. Now it is the right of the principal that if suppose agent deals in his own account on his own account without the permission of the principal can cancel the contract. Okay. Next point. If the acts are done without knowledge or authority, the principal has the right to ratify or disown the acts. Disown means to reject or to refuse. So this is we have covered in ratification. Correct? If the acts are done without knowledge or authority, the principal has the right to ratify or disown. So the choice is given to the principal whether to ratify or disown or reject the acts. Right to demand for accounts. Next, refuse remuneration if the agent is guilty of misconduct. And the last point is right to revoke the authority. Right to revoke means what? To take back. To take back the authority given to the agent. Okay. So let us go on to the next part of the contract of agency. Termination of agency. Termination. Terminate means what? I told you at the time of bailment itself. Terminate means to come to an end. A contract of agency may be terminated in one of the following ways. A, by act of parties, by mutual agreement. So agent and principal both can decide to put an end to the contract of agency. Point B, by principal giving notice of revocation to the agent. So last right which we saw of the principal is right to revoke the authority given to the agent. So the principal can give a notice of revocation to the agent, and that notice will be applicable for the from the future transactions, or for the same transaction that I am revoking your authority. So you are not allowed to work for me. Correct. And by point C, by agent renouncing the business of agency. Agent renouncing. Renounce means what? Giving up. Chhod diya. Business of agency. The principal can give the notice of revocation. No, principal is taking back the authority. Now, in this point C, agent is telling the principal that I don't want to work as an agent. So that is called as renouncing the business of agency. Okay. And point D, by completion of performance. So the work for which the agent is appointed, that work is over. So the agency comes to an end. So that is capital A, by act of parties. Capital B, by operation of law. When the agent or principal or when the agent or principal or agent, इधर double हो गया, dies, the contract of agency is terminated. When agent or principal or agent नहीं होना चाहिए, dies, the contract of agency is terminated. So either of them die, then the contract comes to an end. Small b, when agent or principal becomes unsound mind. He will become unsound mind. He will lose the capacity to contract. No, so the contract will come to an end. Next, C, on insolvency of the principal. D, on expiry of the fixed period. Suppose the agency is for fixed period. Suppose the agency is for fixed period, then in that event, on expiry of that fixed period, the contract comes to an end. Next, on destruction of subject matter. The subject matter for which the agency is created, if it is destroyed, then in that event also the agency comes to an end. Next, on principal becoming alien enemy. Principal becoming alien enemy. Next, alien enemy means enemy. There are two things, no? Alien enemy and alien friend. So contract with alien friend is valid, but contract with alien enemy is not valid. So the principal is becoming alien enemy. Next, on dissolution of company, when principal or agent is a company. So dissolution is death of the company, no? So if the principal or agent is a company, then on death of that company, the agency will be over. Next, termination of sub-agent's authority on termination of agent's authority. Sub-agent, agent of an agent. So when the authority of the agent is taken back, the authority of sub-agent is automatically taken back. Correct? Then irrevocable agency. When an agency cannot be terminated, it is said to be an irrevocable agency. When an agency cannot be terminated, so when you cannot put an end to the agency, it is called as irrevocable agency. Correct? Point 1. When the agent has some interest in the subject matter of the agency is irrevocable. When the agent has some interest in the subject matter of the agency is irrevocable. So in which circumstances the agency is irrevocable? Those circumstances we are writing down. Correct? When the point number 2, when the agent has already exercised some authority, the principal cannot revoke the authority by the act for the act already done. When the agent has already exercised some authority, some act is done by the agent, the principal cannot revoke the authority for the act already done because the work is done by the agent. The principal is bound by the act already done by the agent. And third point is where the agent has incurred personal liability. Then in that event also, the agency cannot be revoked. So these are the circumstances when there will be a irrevocable agency. So here we complete our module 3. From the next lecture, we will start revision of module 4, that is Sale of Goods Act. Now, just a minute, some message is received. The attendance link is same. The just now which I sent to you is for the benefit of the students who are joining late. Correct? The attendance link is same. So once you have filled it in, no necessity to fill it again. Okay. So only one attendance link I am sending, but just I admitted 2-3 students just now, no? So it is an attendance link for them. So the same link, once if you have filled in the attendance, don't fill it again. It will be recorded automatically. Okay. Now, if you have any difficulties, please ask me. See now, 2 people are entered. Pradeep Yadav and Tanmay Falke. Now they have entered just now at the fag end of the lecture. That's why I'm sending the attendance link. Because the earlier chats, they would not be in a position to see, no? Before they entered the class, the chats which had occurred earlier or the link which I had sent earlier.
हॅलो सर,
Yes.
मला प्रायव्हेट आली आहे अटेंडन्स लिंक.
बरं ठीक आहे, पाठवतो परत. Again I will send it. Everyone in
Okay,
the
sir.
meeting. Everyone in the meeting. Okay. Everyone. Okay. Now it is received again. So the late comers can also mark their attendance. Actually, I should not allow them to mark their attendance because they are coming late. But it's okay. No problem. So please ask any difficulties. Now you have to read the PPTs. You will get the question bank also on your Google Classroom. It is under preparation. So no need to worry. You will get the question bank also. And question bank are not the important questions. Huh? Please bear it in mind. Question bank is a guidance to you to prepare for the examination. Not necessary that the questions in the question bank should come in the examination. We are not under obligation to give you the importance. Okay. We are giving you the guidance how to study. So by reading the question bank and by reading the PPTs sent to you and by remembering the lectures delivered to you from time to time, you have to write the paper. But there is no guarantee that the question paper will be from the question bank itself. Correct? So please bear this in mind. Now, if there are no difficulties, we can wind up the lecture. I am stopping the sharing. By the way, you can ask me difficulties at any time. See this now, Ganesh Wagmode is entering just now. I have allowed him to enter, but there will be no attendance link for him now. So if you have any difficulty, please ask me or we will wind up the lecture. Your regular lecture of second lecture will start at 10 o'clock. So if you have no difficulty, let us wind up the lecture. All the best to you and have a good day ahead.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.